also have this smoke detector right here. Just as an added precaution, I've never done something inside of a little yurt setup like this with heaters and fumes and stuff, so I'm just gonna try to play it as safe as I can. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. I got this little tent built above me. You can see it was about 20 degrees outside, about 30 in the garage, and it's already up at 50. Electric heater going. Fake fireplace. I hate the sound of sandpaper, so I always wear earmuffs and earplugs. I'm American Boathead, and this is how to fiberglass in the wintertime. Whenever I'm putting this Bondo on, I always think, oh, I'll just sand it off, or you leave it pretty heavy rather than have to come back and do it. And then when I come to sand, I'm always like, why'd I be so sloppy? Live and learn, or just live, like I did. So as you can see right here, there's a pretty good bevel, and that's pretty much necessary. It's not just a bevel. I've actually cut the corner off with a router and then rounded it over. When you put fiberglass on and you put on a square corner, it looks like it's okay and it'll wrap just fine, but 99 times out of 100, this part or both will bubble out while it's drying, and you'll get bubbles right here and here. But if you have a nice round transition, it diminishes that possibility greatly. This piece was a little higher up. We're proud of this piece, so I went along with some Bondo to kind of feather it out, because I really don't want air pockets under my fiberglass mesh. I just want it to be really solid and strong, because if there's an air pocket, that becomes a water pocket, you know what I'm saying? Just asking for leaks and stuff. So I'm using right here, straight up fiberglass mesh from Home Depot, Bondo style. What I got here, got my surface nice and leveled up. Get rid of that. That's important because this stuff flows. Oh, also, I'm gonna mix it and move it around with this 4-inch paddle here. And maybe with this foam brush if I ever need it. Got some scissors here to cut the corners. Most importantly, rubber gloves. Lots and lots of rubber gloves. Just use them, use them, use them, use them up. Because this stuff is messy. And on that note, remember to cover your floor. This is what I use on every boat build. I've used one other kind and it really never set up on me, so I swore off of it. I just use this every time. But this stuff, 2-part resin, part A, part B. Directions. Just kidding, read thoroughly, follow. Basically mix part A into part B for 3 minutes thoroughly, then pour that into another container and mix for 3 minutes thoroughly with a stick to ensure that we don't get more bubbles in there than we need. So you don't want to use a drill paddle or anything. This is all in the instructions, so just be sure and read them if you're using this. I'm just going to stir it up with some shims here. If you're doing like some kind of nice tabletop, you probably wouldn't want to use a shim. It'll leave a little sawdust in there, but I don't give a flying boat about that. So I'm going to go ahead and mix these two. They suggest using 3 containers. But I'm just going to use 2 because I'm using the whole bottles. It's still a no-no, but I'm going to do it. These are nitrile gloves. They won't melt in the resin like some latex gloves do. But they don't snap as nice. So this activator part B is a little bit thinner, so more of it runs out. So I like to just go till they both start to drippy drizzle. Get as much out of that as I can. Put that back up, and then still let this one run out a ways because it's a little thicker and takes a little longer. And then I'll set them up next to each other and let them settle, and I'll be able to see if one has more in it than the other. Usually it winds up with like just a little bit at the bottom of each. You mix these by volume, not by weight, so if you were to measure them out, you'd go the exact same quantity, not how much, because this weighs a little bit less heavily. Alright, I'm going to mix this up. I'll show you. Stir. Just scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, just thoroughly get her stirred up. Try not to spill any, of course. Try not to get air bubbles mixed in there. Don't go like this and whip it like a freaking whipped cream stuff or something. I'm going to pour it into another container and make. And I think the reason we do that is because when you put these parts in, sometimes they'll be like touching on the side. You can't quite mix it all off. So once you pour it into this other one, all of that stuff will stay in here or fall into here, and you'll be able to mix it up, and it's less likely that you have a spot that doesn't ever cure, which, believe me, is hateful. I've done it. Trash that. So I let these rest. They have a very similar amount left in them, so I'm just gonna toss this or use it on a small project rather than try to get more into there, because that's not gonna make a difference. But I feel like I got pretty close to the same amount in there, and that's what you're shooting for. So I don't know if you could tell at home there, but there's a lot of little air bubbles in there. And that's just unavoidable. It happens. They rise out mostly, and you can torch them out. I don't normally worry about it, but it's unavoidable, so don't worry. But do worry about mixing this long enough, because I got to tell you, the number one thing that'll sour your flavor of epoxy is not mixing it right and having to scrape a wet, non-cured honey substance off of your boat and your floor. And why don't you just mix an extra 30, 40 a minute? Got her all mixed up. Threw my little shim in my new garbage bucket, which has the old resin mixes in it. So I'm gonna cut off some of the stringy stuff because it's annoying to deal with when it's wet. It's not that bad though. It turns clear, and it might be laying off like that, and you can cut it off later, or it's clear like when it's wet because it's glass, and it's not that big a deal, but I don't want to deal with it, so I'm cutting it off. Okay, so I'm just going to start doing this. Sides yet. Just start pushing down the fiberglass too. Trying to get bubbles and waves out. Probably assume. Cut these corners just straight in at a 45 kind of. That way I can wrap this one forward, that one backwards. Cut off this ugly. There. It's nice and square. So yeah. Oh, wish you could have seen that. The extra's not going to hurt anything, it's all good. It's more waterproofing, that's all. Heater cranking inside the boat, maybe not the best idea, I'll probably move it around. There's lots of little air bubbles you can see. I think that's from not putting epoxy in between the two layers because there's none under here and I've never had that before. So hopefully it'll just kind of go out. The air will just dissipate. I don't know. It's probably air bubbles coming from below in the epoxy just forming. So I might poke them with a needle too, see what I can do. Or just leave it, I don't really care. I'm gonna paint it and put strakes on it and stuff. This little guy right here, I got on Amazon and I rarely use it. I think I'm gonna use it to get these air bubbles out. Maybe. Just kind of getting them out. So, I'll give that a shot. See what it is this thing has little ridges on it. So it doesn't just push all your epoxy out, but it pushes down on your fiberglass. You could probably use like a section of thread bar or something even. But it's actually working pretty good to get those air bubbles out. So, remember that. Yeah. Win some, you lose some. Well, that looks a little better. There's little bubbles on it now, but I think those will go away. And I definitely, you can see it's only been about 10-15 minutes and it's already starting to flow down the side and make a little ripple. So I'm just going to take my putty knife and kind of tend to those. And it's not evening out. So once it starts moving stuff around in little sheets instead of just like a liquid more, then you might as well just stop touching it because it's just going to get worse and worse. I'll just keep tending this for the next couple hours until it gets really tacky, and then by about 8 o'clock tonight it should be hard to the touch, and I'll just kind of keep some heat on it for the next day or two, 3 days maybe, see how it goes. Alright, it's been maybe an hour since I mixed, and it's been a little more bubbles here and there, so I've just been kind of popping them with a razor blade. See how it disappears, kind of. So, kind of fun little whack-a-mole thing. And then you can see there's still running down the sides here. It's from this crack right here, letting air into the back side of it. So that's a good reason to fill it on the inside first, or just fill up the gaps like I did with the Bondo, just to minimize that. You can see that radius on the edge is working out beautifully. Little bubbles here and there, but one of the things you got to learn if you're going to build epoxy or do epoxy is you're just going to have to let some stuff go and fix it later, especially after it hits that tacky point where you can't even barely move it. Just fix it later. See, there's going to be a hole right there. Oh no, I'll just patch it with some Bondo filler after I sand it off. A little extra hanging off over there. I'm not going to overwork it and mess the whole thing up. I'm just going to repair that single little area in that corner after this is all done with maybe a small batch of the quick Bondo resin stuff. But I got this cranking now, so should be seeing the temperature rise pretty quick. It's already up 55 probably at ground level. My face is burning, so I'm sure it's getting warm. Gotta be really careful and not burn my house down and kill my family. So I'm going to keep a real close eye on it and turn both of these off periodically, but mostly at night. I'm not even gonna deal with it. I don't care if it ruins my epoxy. I've read online that if you once the epoxy is going and it gets cold, it'll stop the curing process, and then when it warms back up, it'll start up again. So as long as I get it kind of tacky today, by this evening it'll already be hard-ish to the touch, and I'll just be able to cycle on a little bit of heat probably the next day and bring it back up to temperature and let it cure all the way. Supposedly it takes about 3 days, so I'll probably do that till Monday. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thumbs up, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Ask me questions, and god damn it, go build a boat. So you can see it's already starting to look so shiny, and you can even touch it just right here by the heater. Yeah, about 110 at least. I would say at the surface we're probably 100 degrees. Right over here by the heater, a little higher. That's kind of cool because you can see how the heat 3 hours later, and I can already touch it. Whereas if we go to the other side where the less heat, oops, it's still tacky. I went ahead and put a metal shield above this because I noticed the top of the tent was getting a little warm and I don't want it to melt. So hopefully that'll pump a little more heat over this way too. There's some more cleanup to do on this. Here we are about 5 hours later. The sides that are closest to the heat are dry to the touch, which is awesome because it looks so wet. Now there is one thing, a little surprise I got here. Looks like the fiberglass mesh is now coming with a piece of thread that goes all along the edge to keep it from fraying, I guess. But I gotta tell you what, if I put that on top of my boat, I'd be freaking pissed, because that ain't going nowhere. I'm glad I'm painting this boat, because I don't want that white line 4 times over. I mean, come on guys, at least warn me. So Bondo fiberglass needs to be cut first, unless you don't mind those lines, which is nice to have. It didn't fray as much. Gotta give it to him, but a warning would have been nice. Alright, I've poured out all of the epoxy onto the boat, and now I've just got to get my gloves on and... Oh, just kidding. It's all done. It's been 12 hours, And I just got a fiberglass sliver here. Oh, jeez, that hurt. Look at this little, owie, right in there.